All right, good. I hope everybody's doing good and staying healthy and safe. Today's seminar is an updated version of the seminar that I gave like two months ago. So I had another seminar in November of last year, but we do have some updated information about the college admissions, especially for the 2021-2022 year, the admissions. So I'm going to share some information with you. And mainly, I'm gonna focus about I mean, it's gonna be overall. So like the general requirements of college admissions, starting from GPA to the extracurricular activities. But I'll be presenting a lot more on the extracurricular activities, especially the activities that the elite corporate office created. So it's gonna be really exciting. They came up with many exciting programs since many high school students really couldn't do much because of the COVID-19. So I'll introduce you some of the programs. So let me begin with the admissions rate from last year. All right, so I have 29 colleges listed. So these are the popular colleges that the students from these areas apply for. So starting from Baylor, and you could take a look at it. So on the right part is not so much important, but I mean, a lot of students were interested in like, how many people are waitlisted for this college and that college. So I was very fortunate to get some information about each college, the waitlisted number and the number accepted and number admitted, meaning that they actually enrolled. All right, so starting from Baylor, Baylor is really famous with like a medical program. So if you are thinking about like pre-med or like medical school later on, then definitely Baylor's should be one of your choices. Baylor is not that strong. So if your GPA is not like really high and your test scores are not high, then definitely Baylor should be one of the schools that you consider. And Boston College, Boston University, those are really popular colleges. Many students from like these areas, they want to travel or they want to go out of state and they want to go to East Coast. So BC and BU is very popular colleges. So you can see how many people applied and how many people got admitted and also the admission rate. Now, Caltech, as you know, is a top college. So if you're interested in like engineering or computer science or pure science or data science. So Caltech should be one of the top choices. But as you probably already know, Caltech is one of the hidden Ivy colleges. So hidden Ivy meaning that they are as much difficult as to get in compared to like Ivy League. So Caltech, Carnegie Mellon, Case Western is one of the school, Claremont McKenna, and later on, there is like Stanford. Now, these are all top colleges with very high competitions and very high level requirements. So all these schools, Duke, another popular college. So a lot of people who want to do engineering and also like a pre-med program, but especially like business and the economics and like a political science, they do apply for Duke. Emory is one of the very popular college. So Emory is a small liberal art college and very popular with the like a pure science program, economics and all. Now Fordham is another very popular liberal art college and a lot of students apply for the college. And I think I had like a 55 the application students this year and about like a little less than one half, they apply for Fordham, okay. Now, George Washington, very popular with like the liberal art, majors like political science, economics, literature, very popular. And Georgetown, one of the best schools for the political science major. So if you're thinking about going into politics or law, then definitely Georgetown should be one of the top list. But definitely, it's not an easy college to get into. So in a pretty high level, the requirements stay. Harvey Mudd, very popular college as far as like engineering is concerned. So if you're thinking about engineering, computer science is kind of okay. And then like a premium majors, then Harvey Mudd is one of the tops. And LMU, the Loyola Marymount University, that's one of the very popular among the pre-med students. So if your GPA is not so high, but you want to study pre-med, then the LMU is going to be another one. MIT, so everybody knows MIT. So as you can see, that MIT's admit rate is like a 6.74%. So that's really, really at the top. Now, NYU, New York University, very, very popular, and a lot of students from these areas, they want to go to NYU. So whether you want to major in like a business, pre-med, computer science, engineering, you name it. So NYU is very, very popular school. Their admission rate is not so low, but it's not so high. So 16.2% is about like between UCLA and UC San Diego, that level, right? And Northeastern, another very popular college that a lot of people apply for. Now, there is a difference between Northeastern and Northwestern. Now, a lot of students get mixed up with these two schools. Northwestern is much more difficult to get in than Northeastern. So you could see that Northeastern, the admission rate is like 18%, but Northwestern is 9%. So Northwestern is another like a hidden Ivy type of school. Pepperdine, that school is down in Southern California, beautiful campus, right above Malibu Beach. So if you love beach, then that school should be the one. And Pepperdine is pretty famous with business major, right? So if you're interested in business, it's a private school, so the tuition is kind of expensive. But once again, I mean, if your academic profile is not like really high enough, then definitely you want to consider Pepperdine. Pomona College is another very strong and very well-known, the liberal art college down in Southern California. So the Claremont McKenna, Harvey-Mudd, and Pomona are like three top hidden Ivies down in Southern California, okay? RPI, that's the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, very famous with the computer science and engineering school, very, very one of the top schools, but it's kind of easy to get in. So last year, the admission rate was like a 43%, which was pretty high. Now, not so many people are familiar with Rice University. Now, Rice is located in Dallas, Texas, and they are pretty much famous with literally everything. So especially like engineering, computer science, and pre-med. And also if you're interested in like a business, then check out Rice University. They're really good. But Rice is another hidden Ivy school. So the admission rate is about like 8.7%. Right. And Santa Clara, a lot of students here, they apply for Santa Clara. Many of them, Santa Clara as like target school or safety schools. As you can see, that admission rate is like about 49%. Stanford, I think out of all the colleges in America, Stanford would be the most difficult school to get in. So 4.34%. I never seen Stanford given the admission rate above 4% in the past year. So very tough to get in, and you know the reputation of Stanford. Tulane is another popular liberal art college. So if you're interested in, I mean, engineering, computer science is going to be okay, but more like a liberal art major, then Tulane is another one. Notre Dame, another popular one. And USC, as you probably already know, USC is very, very popular with business major, but they developed so much for the engineering department and also the computer science department. USC, when I went to UCLA like years ago, USC was no comparison to the UCLA, but they are now at UCLA level, or for some majors, it's much more difficult to get in than UCLA. So as you can see, the admission rate for USC last year was 11%, which was lower than UCLA. USC is also very famous with like a theater arts or filming major, and also whatchamacallit, music. All right, so they're very famous with that. Vanderbilt, oh gosh, that's one another really, really good, a very strong liberal art college. So a lot of people from the school, a lot of the students from these areas, they also apply for Vanderbilt. WashU, we call it, WashU, Washington University, is many times, it's kind of like Washington University and University of Washington is two different schools. So WashU is very high level, the private schools. So they're hidden Ivy, very famous with the biological sciences. So I strongly recommend the students who are interested in like biology or biological science and they want to become a doctor later on, or if you want to go into like biological like research, then WashU should be one of the top list. And I think the biological science program from WashU is like the nation's top 5 or top 3. So very competitive to get in. All right, so that was the first 29 colleges, the most popular colleges among these areas. Now this is for the Ivy League. So as you know that there are 8 the colleges under Ivy League, and Brown, Columbia, Cornell, Dartmouth, and Harvard, Princeton, UPenn, and Yale. And as you can see, that the admission rate is pretty tough. So out of all the Ivy, definitely always Harvard puts their name out. So Harvard is going to be the most difficult the college or the school to get in, almost difficult as Stanford. So 4.64% last year. I was very fortunate this year and last year. Some of our college application program students, they got into Harvard, and this year, like 2 of them got into Cornell early decision, and we had 1 student who got into the Stanford. So I was very proud of their performance and also our record. One of the things that you're gonna have to be careful with is that there are like 4 or 5 schools, so Stanford and Brown and Harvard and Princeton, Yale. If you do early action application, let's say, so hope you understand early action. Early action meaning that when your profile is pretty strong, then you will have this advantage of applying for certain schools, either early action, early decision, or restrictive early action. So those 4 or 5 schools, they do restrictive early action. So Stanford, Brown, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, all right? So if you choose any of those schools for early action, then you cannot do any other early action at all. All right, so you're gonna have to choose out of those 4. If you want to do early, then pick one and then apply early, and they're gonna come back to you with the answer starting from around December 15th. So I'll talk a little more about when I talk about the college applications. So this is the admit rate or the admission status from last year for the Ivy League. And the next thing is going to be our popular and most demanded the campus or the schools. That's the UC campuses, UC colleges. Now, so Berkeley last year, 88,000 people applied and 15,000 people got accepted. And so the admission rate is 17.5%. Now here, I want you to pay a very careful attention to the data at the bottom. So high school GPA for Berkeley, all right, so it should be around 4.13 to 4.30. But as you can see that, it's a GPA and test scores of middle 25% to 75% students. So most of the major choices that you're gonna have, it's gonna fall into 25% to 75% range, except engineering, computer science, and pre-med, right? So especially engineering that you're interested in, then your GPA definitely has to be around 4.5 or higher. UC Berkeley's engineering department is really famous and a lot of competitions every year. So if you're thinking about applying for UC Berkeley, any engineering major, then you should have around 4.5 GPA. Computer science, there is one computer science program under Letters and Science Department or College of Letters and Science. That computer science program or major is different from computer science program under the engineering department. So under the engineering department from UC Berkeley, it's called the EECS, Electrical Engineering with Computer Science. Now, a lot of students from Doherty High, Cal High, Monte Vista, Dublin, they want to go for that. So if you are interested in the EECS major, definitely you're going to have 4.5 GPA. computer science under College of Letters and Science, if your GPA is around like 4.4, then that's gonna be okay. But if it is like a below 4.3, then you're gonna face a lot of challenges. Now, then what's gonna happen to those students who GPA is under 4.0? Well, there's still gonna be some chance for those students to get in, but the door is gonna be pretty hard, right? So if your GPA is around like 3.8, then Berkeley is going to be very, very tough to get in. I don't want to say like any major, but I would say probably like most of the majors that you're going to choose. And the ACT scores and SAT scores, now this was before COVID, so that's the scores that they were looking for. And I'm going to talk about the UC, the score status, especially the SAT and ACT status later on, okay? So this is UC Berkeley. And UC Davis is a little less competitive than UC Berkeley. So 76, almost 77,000 people applied last year, and 35,000 or almost 36,000 people got admitted, 47%. Now, 47% doesn't mean that that is for every major. So, just please be careful with that admission rate. It's the overall admit rate. So if you're doing pre-med, especially Davis has very strong biological science majors, right? So if you're doing if you want to do a bio major at UC Davis, then definitely you're going to have 4.25 or higher GPA, or we recommend like 4.3 or 4.4. And those are the SAT, ACT scores, okay? And Irvine, another very, very good school for engineering, computer science, and pre-med, and also econ or business, all right? So 937 people applied and 29,000 people got admitted, about 30% admit rate. And the GPA is around like 3.96 to 4.26, okay? And the most popular, the UC, so that's the UCLA. So over 100,000 people applied and only 15,643 people got accepted. So the overall admit rate is 14.4%. So it's not easy to get into UCLA. So as you can see that the GPA should be from like 4.18 through 4.31. But once again, if you're doing, or if you want to do engineering, computer science, or pre-med related, then I strongly recommend that your GPA should be around 4.4 or higher. So then, you're going to have pretty good chance to get in. But if it is a little less than that, then it's going to be really, really tough. And those are the ACT scores and SAT scores. And this is UC Merced, the most or the easiest UC campus to get in. So 25,000 people or almost 26,000 people applied and 22,000 people got in, and about 85% the admit rate. Many people look down on UC Merced. You know what? UC Merced is growing really fast, right? I mean, that's the youngest the UC campus, but they want to be in that mainstream, right? So they're developing a lot of many popular programs, and also they are, the a lot of money that they try to put, bring it in. So Merced, you really should, give a second thought about UC Merced. It's not a bad school, right? So of course, it's there's a level difference, but if you graduate from Merced, you should be okay. After graduating from UC Merced and you try to get a job, it shouldn't be that bad. So high school GPA 3.40 to 3.96, definitely. So that's the range. I've had one student about 2 years ago, and that student's GPA was around like 3.1, but she got in to UC Merced. All right, so if you're thinking, or your parents are forcing you, you're gonna have to go to one of the UCs. But you're not like really academically strong, then definitely UC Merced is gonna be there. And those are the ACT and SAT scores. UC Riverside, they are getting more competitive year after year, and they also have medical school of their own. So if you're thinking about pre-med, engineering is another thing, but another very good school. But UC Riverside is probably the second easiest UC campus to get in. So 49,000 people applied and 32,000 people got admitted. and then 66% the admit rate, and that's the GPA, so 3.65 to 4.11. So any UCs that you apply for, if you're thinking engineering, computer science, pre-med, and if the UC campus is famous with business program, then your GPA should be higher than what it shows here. Okay. UC San Diego, another very popular the UC campus for computer science program engineering, but I think UC San Diego is more popular with like a pre-med. So over 90,000 people applied and 38,000 people got admitted, and then 38% admit rate. And the GPA 4.04 to 4.28. So if you're in that range, definitely you could apply for San Diego. Santa Barbara, getting more competitive every year. I get surprised like every year when I see the admission rate and also the programs they introduce each year. Santa Barbara is, they are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So now 90,000, almost like 91,000 people applied, and 33,000 people got accepted, and almost 37% admission rate, and the GPA 4.03 to 4.27. So the thing that you kind of have to have in your mind is that if you are interested in any of the UCs, except like UC Riverside and UC Merced, and you want to do some competitive major or any kind of majors, then you kind of have to keep your GPA above a 4.0, right? So that's the weighted GPA. And as you know that UCs do have capped weighted GPA, meaning that they're going to be looking for APs or the honors classes from 10th and 11th grade. So if you don't have any like honors classes or AP classes in 10th grade and 11th grade, then for your chance to get into the UC is going to be very, very difficult. So, you should have at least 4 either APs or honors classes. So I'll be talking a little more about that later on, but if you have questions, then you could ask me later. All right, so this is Santa Barbara, and I think that's almost, Santa Cruz, sorry. So Santa Cruz, I think this is like a third easiest the school to get in, the UC campus, and 55,000 people applied last year, and almost 36,000 got accepted, 65% admit rate. So that's the GPA, all right, and also test scores. So I'll wait until a little later time for the SAT and ACT requirement for the UCs. Now, this is just a sample of each UC campus, the admission rate per each college. So they call it college. So UCLA, UC Berkeley, I mean, they're university, they're a college, but under they're like UCLA, right? University of Los Angeles, they have different college or different department, right? So the largest college in any of the UCs is called the College of Letters and Science. Some UCs, they changed the name. So they used to have College of Letters and Science, but they don't have it anymore. They kind of like, broke it down to different department or different schools. But UCLA, so majority of their majors fall into College of Letters and Science. And so as you can see that the most number, that 74,000 people apply, but only 12,000 people got admitted. And then admit rate is like a 17%. Now, the Henry Seminole School of Engineering, very popular engineering school. So 24,000, almost 25,000 people applied. Only 2,600 people got in, and the admission rate is 11%. Now, you're going to see this trend for all colleges. So the letters and science or the arts and science is a different way of describing the popular majors or the college with popular majors. You're going to see a lot higher rate for those majors. But if you do engineering and if you're looking for the admission rate for the engineering majors, it's going to be a lot lower, right? Now, School of Music, 23%. So it's a very competitive, the UCLA, the School of Music, but I have to be honest, US is, I think they have a better music school than UCLA, but I don't mean to say UCLA is less competitive than USC. It's a good school. Now, UCLA is one of the top nursing, they have nursing programs. So the nursing school has been always popular and very difficult to get in. So the percentage is like 1%. And architecture, out of all the UCs, I think UC Berkeley has the most competitive, or I don't want to say the best, but yeah, they do have probably the best architecture major program. So you might want to check out the UC Berkeley requirement. But if you want to do like an architecture major, then definitely they're going to require a portfolio, right? It's not just that, you submit your GPA and submit your test scores and they're going to let you in. Same thing with music major, or same thing with the art majors, right? So you're going to have to be careful with that, okay? And film, television, and theater art, UCLA is pretty strong. And I think they go like shoulder to shoulder with USC. But honestly speaking, I think USC is a little better than UCLA. So that is from UCLA. Now, I couldn't find all the detail, the admission status for each college. So it's got to be pretty much the same thing, right? So this is the admission rate from 2020. The next thing that I'm going to introduce is going to be a little bit interesting because I have the admission status or admission rate by each high school in these areas. So let's start with Doherty High. All right. So last year, 538 people applied for UCs, all UCs. And out of 538, 386 people got in. And out of that 386, 203 people actually enrolled. But interesting is, look at the female and male number of applicants. So Doherty High, 283 female students applied for the UCs, and 204 students got admitted, and out of 204, 117 enrolled. And male student, 250, and the 179 people got admitted, and the 85. So if you're thinking about applying for UCs, now any of the UCs, and you are attending Doherty Valley High, then you're gonna have to be in the 538 number, but the number goes down. If you're female, then you're gonna have to be that 283, that pool, right? And if you are a male student, then you have to be in the 250. So I understand that Doherty is around like what, over 800 students each class. So your senior class, your class, whether you're sophomore or junior, probably around like 800. So out of the 800, if you're a male, then you have to be in the 250, that number. So it's what, that's gonna be 800. So you have to be in that top like a 20% or something like that, right? So be careful with that. It's not just the GPA and all these test scores that you're gonna have, but out of each high school, the UCs or any college is going to take certain number of the students. We don't know what the number is. So, if you want to be safe, and you're definitely going to have to be in that number. And also, especially like if you're interested in engineering, computer science, and pre-med, I would say out of that 283 or 250, you're really going to have to be in the top 10%, right? For the top UCs. Okay. Cal High. So 277 people applied, and 185 people got admitted, and 97 people enrolled. So that's the female and male figure. Okay, so 153 female students, 122 male students. Okay, the next school is going to be Monte Vista. So 251 applicants and 146 admit, and then 82 enrolled, and then female and male. Dublin High. All right, so 304 students applied, and 218 students got admitted, and 116 students enrolled. And so that's the female and male, okay? All right, San Ramon Valley High. So 167 and 96 and 41, okay? And Amador Valley, so 348 and 241 admitted, and 119 enrolled. Okay. And Foothill, so 248 and 175 students got admitted, and 93 students enrolled. And Castro Valley, so 246 and 169 and 102. And Northgate, that school is in the Walnut Creek, I believe, and 166 students applied, 113 students got admitted, and 61 students enrolled. So you can see that like the actual number of enrollment is way less than the admitted number. So, because they applied for other schools, right? So many students ended up going to different schools than UCs. Livermore High, all right, 101 and 65 and 41. And Modesto High, we got a lot of students from Modesto High. So 112 students applied last year, and 70 students got admitted, and 42 students enrolled. And Granada, 148 and 86 and 45. And Quarry Lane, one of the private schools in these areas, and only 52 students applied, and 38 students got admitted, but 17 students enrolled. So you're going to see very low enrollment from the private schools, and that's because a lot of students they choose to go to private university than the UCs. So you're going to see the same thing with the Athenian. So 54 students applied, 31 got admitted, but only 8 students enrolled. Okay. Now Folsom, now these are the schools in Sacramento area. So 127 people applied, 73 people got admitted, and 42 enrolled. And you can see the female and male number. And Rockland High School, 125, 83, and 47. And Oak Ridge, so 158, 82, and 38. And Franklin, 177, 110, and 67. Okay. And you probably noticed that I think there is more female high school population than the male population. So most of the high schools, I saw that more female students apply for the colleges than the male students. Okay. All right, so that was the statistics for each high school. Now I'm gonna stop for a moment. If you have any questions, then this is time for you to ask me. You're good? Okay. All right, so what do you have to have for you to get into a college? Now, as you know, now if you already attended, a lot, I did a lot of seminars last year. So if you attended any of my seminars, then you probably memorized the requirements for getting into college. The first thing and the most important thing is good grades. Nothing competes with against that good grades, right? So many people or many students have this tendency to think that if the GPA is not so strong, then probably strong test scores or strong extracurricular activities might replace or compensate that. Sometimes yes, but many times no, right? So good grades is mandatory, right? So how are you going to have good grades? Well, you're going to have challenging classes. So you can't really relax and take not so many rigorous classes, and you're thinking about just top colleges and UCLA and UC Berkeley with for the engineering, computer science, and pre-med major. No, that will not happen. So challenging classes. Now we're going to go over the minimum and maximum requirement for the UC admissions later on, but it's very important. So let me put very heavy weight on this. It's very, very important that you choose right, rigorous classes that you should take in each grade. All right, so challenging classes meaning AP classes and honors classes, okay? And the next thing is gonna be strong scores. So the test scores, so the test scores meaning that there is SAT, well, I'm gonna talk about it later. So strong test scores are important. And extraordinary extracurriculars. Now, this is going to be very, very important, especially highly selective schools. Right? So you just choose a club and you just become a member for that club for 2 or 3 years. And if you think that it's going to be good enough, no, it is not. All right. So I've heard from another report saying that even college, the application readers would not take a look at your activities if you're just members of each club or activity. All right, so because it's very important. I mean, you're going to have to list all the activities that you have from high school, and the first thing is that if you don't have that many to list, that's like really no good. And if you have like a lot of like club activities, but you're just a member of each club, and that's also not good as well. All right. So extraordinary extracurricular activities, now that is going to be very, very important, and engaging essays. Now, how are you going to write your powerful essay? That really comes from how you live the 4 years of your high school time, right? So, it's not the essay that you're going to be writing about for your English class. It's not like, your English teacher gives you a topic for you to write, because the college essay is about your life, your accomplishment, or your challenges, how you overcame your challenges, what happened to you during the high school years. Was there any like a fabulous experiences that you had during like learning the classes or doing some extracurricular activity? So essays, if you have like really like a straightforward, plain, not so exciting or not so much happen the high school life, then that essay is going to be very, very tough, right? So engaging essays, meaning that like how successful your life was during the high school years, that's very important. And a little luck. So it's uncontrollable factor, but who are you going to meet as your application reader? Now that's a pure luck. All right, so if you're a religious person, then pray a lot, because if the application reader is like a first-time reader, and then that person goes by book, oh my goodness, it's going to be really hard, right? So a little luck always follows. Okay, so that's what it requires. Now, UC requirements. So definitely 15, right? 15 A to G classes. So you probably already know it. If you don't know it, then you're in trouble. You don't have to worry about 15 ATG classes, because your school, the classes or class schedules are designed for the UC admission. So if you go to any high schools in America, not in the West Coast or the California, then the classes that you're going to be taking are all for the ATG classes. So the history, English, math, science, art, foreign language, and the college prep electives. Now, minimum 3.0 GPA. So they're going to take the GPA from 10 and 11 only. However, don't smile at that minimum 3.0 GPA. So as we saw the statistics, right? So if you have 3.0, then it's going to be very, very difficult for you to go to any of the UCs. So minimum GPA I recommend is like 3.5. But once again, I mean, if you're thinking about UC Berkeley down to UC Santa Cruz, then you should have above 4.0 GPA, okay? SAT or ACT score. So I'm going to talk about the situation. Right now, we are in still COVID, time. So the court order is in action that the UCs cannot use either SAT or ACT scores for the admission process. Now, when the COVID is off, meaning that the court order is not gonna be there anymore, right? But last May, UC made this humongous announcement that they wanna go test blind, meaning that they don't wanna take SAT or ACT scores for admission process. Now, when that announcement was made, there were a lot of talks even among the UCs, right? So what we know by now is when the COVID is off and now everything is normal, there are few UCs which is still gonna do test blind. For example, like UC Berkeley, UC Santa Barbara, I think UC Merced is another school. So there are like 4 campuses, I believe, if it is not 5, they're gonna go test blind, meaning they're not gonna take a look at your SAT or ACT scores at all. However, out of all the UCs, UCLA and UC San Diego are the top 2 most the application or applicants apply schools, as you saw the numbers. So UCLA and UC Berkeley, UCLA and UC San Diego last year, they said, even though UC announced that we're gonna go test blind in few years in future, UCLA and UC San Diego said, we're going to go test optional. All right. So if it is test optional, they will consider your SAT or ACT scores. So a lot of questions arose last year. Should I still do the SAT or ACT? Should I do that or not? My recommendation was, yes, go ahead and do it. All right. Now, even though if it is like this, the college is like completely test blind, all colleges that you're applying for are all test blind. I don't think that's going to happen, right? But the colleges that you chose to apply are all test blind, and you don't have to do the SAT or ACT. But if there's any school which says that we're going to go test optional, it's always beneficial. It's always advantageous when you submit your strong SAT or ACT scores. So should you do the SAT or ACT this year? Yes, you should. All right. And especially if you're challenging the competitive majors, so engineering, computer science, and pre-med, business, or pre-law, then definitely that SAT score is going to be or the ACT score is going to be very, very important. Test blind, no, but test optional, definitely. All right. So SAT or ACT, it's hard to predict in 2021, especially the juniors this year, whether UC is going to still go test blind or test optional. But the way that COVID is going right now, the vaccine is available right now. So by June of this year, I think most people are going to be vaccinated. So I think the COVID is going to be off, hopefully. And if that happens, then definitely College Board's going to keep the test centers. They're not going to cancel them anymore. It was really chaotic last year. And then you should look for the opportunity to do the SAT or ACT test. But what if the COVID still continues and then UCs do not, they cannot take the SAT scores? Well, if you're only applying for the UCs and California state universities, then you don't have to do it, right? But if you're applying for other colleges, definitely. And especially if you're interested in private colleges out of state, or any college that you want to go to are located out of state, and you're choosing competitive majors, then I strongly even recommend you to travel outside California, find testing places in Nevada, Colorado, or Oregon, even like Iowa. I had a few students who actually flew to Iowa to take the SAT last year, and they were doing engineering majors, right? So that's how much the score is going to be important, because SAT and ACT for many colleges still is like a number 2 important factor for college admissions, right? So SAT or ACT for the UCs and the other schools, I think I spoke enough of it. And AP test scores, oh gosh. Now I'm going to talk especially the AP test scores later, but AP test scores are strongly recommended. UCs, now they were test blind for the SAT and ACT, but not AP test and not the SAT subject test scores. So all these years, right, the AP test scores and SAT subject test scores been very important role for the UC admissions. So there was like a distinctive difference between the students who submitted AP test scores and SAT subject test scores and those who did not. Man, there was like a really big difference in admission or admission chance, right? So that's why that, you really have to consider taking as many AP classes as possible, especially if you're doing computer science, engineering, and pre-med, and SAT subject. Now I'm going to talk these two a little later on, but UC is strongly recommended, right? And also the SAT and ACT score, there's one case that you could actually use SAT or ACT scores, and that's the class placement once you are in like UCLA, UC Berkeley. So if your English score is pretty strong from SAT or even like ACT, then you could enroll into higher level English class. So higher level meaning that you are reducing your staying time at UCLA for you to graduate. So for that purpose, yes, SAT score is going to be taken. So once again, SAT and ACT scores are not for UC admissions at this point, but once COVID is off, it really depends on each individual UC campus, whether they're going to go use the test blind or test optional. But this test blind or test optional are only for SAT and ACT, but AP test scores and SAT subject test scores are always strongly recommended, okay? Now, I'm gonna talk a lot more about that a little later. Private colleges, so definitely GPA. Now, private college is gonna take your GPA from the 9th grade up until the first semester of your 12th grade, right? So you have like 3.5 years for you to boost up your GPA and have GPA ready. But the GPA requirement it really varies from college to college and major to major, right? So the same college, but which major that you're gonna choose, now that's gonna give you different the GPA requirement, okay? SAT or ACT scores. Now, a lot of highly selective colleges, so Ivy League and Hidden Ivy, definitely they're gonna require it. So this year, because of COVID, they understood that test centers got canceled, it was chaotic. So many of these top schools said that they're gonna, well, not many, some of them, they actually did test blind, but many of them did test optional. Now, test optional meaning that you really, you have to submit the scores, especially if you're thinking about like Stanford, Caltech, MIT, and all these Ivies, definitely, right? And so SAT or ACT scores are gonna be very, very important. And then AP test scores, strongly recommended, sometimes it is required. So if you're thinking Ivies and those top school, highly selective colleges, just think of it, the AP test scores as mandatory or required. And SAT subject test scores. Now, Ivies and the hidden Ivies, many of them require SAT subject test scores. So it's 2 or sometimes 3. So you're gonna have to check out what major you're doing for those colleges and the admission requirement for your major choice, okay? Now, let me go back to UCs and the SAT. Now, used to, if you're thinking about like, Berkeley and LA engineering, or even like computer science and pre-med, the recommended SAT scores were around like 1480, 1500, but engineering definitely above 1500, right? And pre-med major definitely around like 1480 and up, right? And ACT scores from 34 up to perfect score 36. Right, so those were used to be the score range. Now for the private colleges, if you're thinking Ivies and Stanford, all these the top schools, then SAT you're gonna have to have 1550 or higher. Well, I don't want to say have to have, but that's like strongly recommended. Right. So if your SAT scores around like 1500, 1520, then SAT score alone, you're gonna be put outside of that main pool of competition. So SAT definitely around 1550 or higher. And if you're doing ACT for those colleges, then definitely not 34. You're gonna have to have 35 or a perfect score, okay? And AP test scores, all right? 3 is a passing score. Now, UC is gonna, happy to see 3 on your AP test scores, but always 4 or 5 is gonna be much better. And the Ivies and those top schools, they want to see more 5 on your AP test scores come forward. If you have many 3s, then it's not good, okay? SAT subject test scores, now definitely above 750. So for the UCs, I would say like from 700 to 750 is going to be pretty good scores. Below 750 is fine. So if you're applying for like UC Merced, Riverside, and Santa Cruz, and like 650 and 700 is going to be okay. But if your scores are under 650, then don't submit your scores. That's not good. All right. So, but you're going to have to target, study for the SAT subject test and try to get around like 700 or higher scores for the UCs. But definitely the top highly selective schools, you're going to have close to perfect scores. So I'll talk a little more about that later. So overall admission requirements, this is by category. So the top, there's an Ivy and hidden Ivy. So example is like Harvard, Stanford, MIT, and University of Chicago and Northwestern. And that's the GPA requirement, 4.6 or plus. And the number of APs and honors that they want to see on your transcript is like a 15 or more. That's a lot, right? And that's including the senior year. And that's the SAT and the ACT scores. and the APs and SAT subject test scores. I didn't have the APs, the scores, and the extracurricular activities. So if you're applying any of those, the top schools, then the extracurricular activity has to be at the international level or the national level of the activities. So competitions definitely. Regional is kind of okay, but with the IVs and hidden IVs, the regional competition do not speak so much. So you're really gonna have to go for state level or the national or the international level competitions. For the extracurricular activities, a lot of students do very standing out activities. Right? I see that like many people are involved in like the robotics and all. What IVs are saying is, let's say you're doing music, robotics, or some like extracurricular activities. This is like really extreme. If they want to find out your name on Google and your name pops up, then they will let you in, right? So that's the kind of activities that they're looking for. So it's really high level, right? And college essays definitely is going to play a very, very important role for those colleges. And LOR stands for letter of recommendation. Absolutely. I mean, you're going to have very strong recommendation letters from your counselor and especially from your teachers. So building up your relationship with your teacher is going to be extremely, extremely important, right? So, you're taking like, AP chemistry class and you're getting A's and you're very active in the class and your teacher likes you. That doesn't mean that he or she will write a strong letter for you for college, right? So it's more personal relationship, right? So does teacher recognize you? Does he or she acknowledge you? Is he or he like is he or she open and like let you or invite you to like help them or help her? I mean, that's more intimate or more personal level of relationship. So you're really going to have to build up the relationship for the letter of recommend or the recommendation letters. Now, most selective, that's UC Berkeley, LA, USC, WashU, Rice, and NYU, and those are the requirements. And so, once again, don't misunderstand this figure though. It is strongly recommended figure, right? So if you're not at the level, then you're not gonna have any chance to get in. No, you will have a chance to get in, right? It's just the thing is that your profile has to be on the borderline, but if you're like way off the borderline, then it's gonna be pretty tough. So, but what I said, like extracurricular activities can compensate. It could compensate GPA. That means you have extraordinary activities. So you're like really busy doing many different activities, and these activities are like national level. Then yes, if your GPA is not so much strong, then definitely those top schools are going to consider you. But otherwise, the GPA and this top, your class schedule, the test score, this is going to be very, very important. Highly selective college, so San Diego, Santa Barbara, Irvine, Davis, these are like a highly selective, and BU, and well, Pepperdine is, it's more like a little bit more selective college, but Pepperdine, depending which major that is, and also Northeastern, and selective college is Santa Cruz, Riverside, Fordham, and the University of Washington. So we call it UW. So those are more like selective college, meaning that, easier to get in. So those are the requirements. All right, so this is the UC minimum requirements. And as I said, that you don't have to worry about it because you're doing it. And UC, so A to G, meaning that each topic is categorized. So A, history and social science, B, English, C, mathematics, D, laboratory science. By the way, psychology is not a laboratory science, so please don't mix up with that. And E, foreign language, and F, that's a visual and performing arts, and G, college prep electives. And there are non-college prep courses, which is like PE and health class, all right? Now, so these are the minimum requirements. So if you have these, yes, you still can apply, and you got all A's in these classes, and then probably your unweighted GPA is going to be like 3.7 or 8, something like that, and you're still going to be okay. But please remember, the UCs are more interested in weighted A to G GPA than unweighted GPA. So remember I said 4 weighted classes that you should have on your transcript from 10th and 11th grade. All right, so please keep that in your mind. But that doesn't mean that if you don't have those classes, then you cannot apply for these. No, you could. It's just the thing is, the door is going to be very narrow, and it really depends on like which major you're going to choose. Okay. And this is the maximum UC requirements. And if you can do this, obviously, I mean, you can apply for any college or any colleges in America, right? So especially if you're thinking about like the highly selective colleges, so Ivies and MIT, Stanford and all, this is pretty much the class schedule that you should have. Now, the problem with this is the 9th grade, because, you know, I think all, if I'm not mistaken, all high schools in these areas, like starting with Doherty High and all, the only AP that you might be able to do is like an AP World Geo. But other than that, I don't think that a lot of schools are actually offering the freshmen to take AP classes or their honors classes, right? So, so if your school does not allow you to take any honors or APs in your freshman year, then you're gonna have to take like as many as possible starting from 10th grade. Right. So usually I think the high schools, they offer you like, you could do maybe 1 or 2 APs or 1 or 2 honors classes during the 10th grade, and then 11th grade, it's open. So if you're thinking about the top schools, then you literally going to have to paint your transcript with all the AP classes. So once again, if you're thinking Ivy League and hidden Ivy, then like 11th grade, you're going to have like 5 or even 6 APs, and same thing with the 12th grade. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, the Stanford, the UCs, even though they consider your GPA from 10th and 11th grade, now they're gonna check how many AP classes that you're gonna have for your senior year. So let's say that you took like 4 or 5 APs in your junior year, and all of a sudden 12th grade, you have only 1 or 2 APs. That doesn't look good. Because all colleges, they wanna see you advance, meaning that you really challenge yourself to take the rigorous classes throughout the high school year, right? So you're really gonna have to maintain that certain number of APs or the honors classes, you know, throughout the high school years. Now, Stanford is a very exceptional school. Now, Stanford has the same system as the UCs. So they're gonna consider your GPA from 10th and 11th only, right? But they're looking for 4.7 GPA. So I know that's crazy, but so if you're thinking, you know, Stanford, then, and also you don't have, your school does not allow you to take like that many APs or honors classes in your 10th grade, then you're really gonna have to take classes outside school. So like, you know, AP classes from online or classes from community college. So these are the options that you have, okay? So these are the maximum requirements. And I've seen, it's not like a lot, but I've seen, I think, a handful of students whose transcript was like this, except the 9th grade, but the 10th grade and 11th and 12th grade, they had this many, right? So they went to Ivies and all, so strongly recommended. So the academic preparation, so the obvious thing is, now good grades and challenging courses and strong test scores are a must, right? So I've spoken enough about it. Not so obvious thing. Now that is, it helps you to have something else that shows a true love of learning. Now that is a very important word, the love of learning, right? So your love of learning, who wants to have that, right? But the colleges are looking for it, especially the top colleges. So, and to stand out from the crowd. So if you have like more classes that you took from outside of your school, that's the not so obvious thing, right? So I think Dublin High and Cal High and Monte Vista, I think the Doherty High also do that, the concurrent enrollment. So you take like 1 or 3 classes from your school, and you could take like maybe 3 or 4 classes from community college. Yes, that's good, right? But I always say this, be careful with what you take from the community college, right? So yes, any class that you take from a community college, that's considered as the weighted GPA, right? So that falls into the 5.0, the GPA category. But it really depends on what class you're going to be taking it, right? So the college application readers are not stupid, all right? So if you have so many classes that you took from like a community college, but those are like really easy classes, but your GPA is like a 4.6, that's not good. So the first thing that application reader is going to be looking for from your transcript is definitely how many AP classes you took during your high school years. And they're going to have your high school record right next to them. So they're going to know how many like AP classes your school offers. All right. And if you only took like 3 AP classes out of 15 they offer, then that doesn't look good. All right. So it's always strongly recommended for you to challenge yourself to take more rigorous classes. Now, here's a little challenge. What if I'm not that academically strong? I mean, I see all these, my friends were in like those AP classes, but I'm not up there. Well, the first thing is, I think the first thing that you should ask yourself is why do you think that you're not up there? Why do you consider yourself as less competitive or inferior than those students? Is that because you never like really given a try? Is that just naturally your mind is telling you that I'm not that smart? Would you want to say that? If you have that kind of mindset, I want to break it, right? Because you're not going to know your potential until you try it. And even though, let's say, I mean, this is the actual case. Some students said that, my parents, I mean, they never were like an academic, right? So, they went to community college and they never like really challenged, like, so, I don't have that DNA, I don't have their brain. So, I'm not that smart and all. But did you know that you do have this hidden potential and capacity, whether your parents are not academically strong, but with your effort, putting like 100% effort into this, you could make a tremendous change. So don't even speak to yourself that, hey, I'm not as smart as they are. No, you never know that. That's saying it, it's just already proving it to you and closing up your door and say that I'm not smart. But you will never know, right? Unless you try it. Einstein, I mean, he had F grades when he was like in the elementary and all, right? And I have he was my professor. And then, he and I got like really close, and I had like this privilege of translating his class to the Korean students years ago. He went to Columbia, I believe, or yeah, I think it was Columbia or Cornell. But when he was in high school, he was like almost F students, but he played football really good. So one day, I think it was Columbia, I believe, yeah. The football coach from Columbia came out and saw him playing, all right? And he liked him very much. So he wanted to recruit him, but there was a certain requirement that he had to meet. And so he asked him to have like a certain GPA and the test scores. They had some tests. So he did it, right? But when you went to Columbia, I mean, he used to play football, but as he was taking some classes, he never knew that he was so smart or so interested in math and physics. It just happened to be that one of the professors that he had for his physics class was the professor, I forgot his name, but the professor who was almost as smart and intelligent as Albert Einstein. And he got really challenged and he studied. And you know what happened? This professor turned out to be one of the most intelligent people from Columbia. Amazing. He never knew that he was going to be that smart. His father was an alcoholic. He came, from very like poor background, the family background. He could have, I mean, he said that he had a lot of anger and resentment against his father, and his mother was supportive, but that kind, typical, that sort of family is like sad stories. But he never was able to find out what kind of potentials they had until he went to Columbia and started studying. And he said mathematics and physics just came into his eyes, and he just fell in love with it. So you never know, right? So don't say that I'm not smart. You're saying you're taking only like an algebra 2, you're a junior, and say I'm not good at math. That's saying it is already telling yourself, and you're commending yourself to admit that you're not going to be good at math at all. Now that's, I think, it's a curse. You're putting curse on you. So don't ever say that. Don't say, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that. You are in teenage. I mean, that age is just a golden era time for you to find out what kind of potential that you have, what kind of capabilities and abilities that you have. So try it, all right? So don't play too much of video games, or don't do so much like tactical, try it. That's gonna make a lot of difference in your life. All right, so this is the academic preparation. And another thing is academic competitions are another very important thing. So if you're good in math, science, go for the competitions. So, math Olympiad, biology Olympiad, science Olympiad, go for it. Speech and debate. If you want to argue, don't argue with the parents, but argue. I mean, go and do the debate, all right? So that's speech and debate, the Model UN, mock trial. I mean, these are all very well accepted, the academic competitions, which is going to make your application shine out. Internships, all right, so you're going to have to go for and look for internships, especially for during the summertime. So Google internships for high school students. Wow, that's got to be the top taste, right? But fortunately, many colleges do offer internship programs during the summertime. All right, so you're going to have to check out the college that you want to go to, especially, and check out what kind of internship programs they offer, and then apply, and hopefully you get in, and then you're going to have tremendous experiences. And the research. Now, this is another very competitive, very recommended summer program. Many times the schools post the research program opportunities on their website for the summer coming up, but some schools strongly recommend the students to contact the departments directly. So if you don't see so much or so many research programs, then go to the department website. So say like UCLA physics department, and then contact physics department, or you could read the physics department website and find out, see if there's like any professor who's doing any research work. And then you contact him. You can't call him, so you send an email message, introduce yourself, and then say that, I'm very interested in your research work. Can I have that opportunity for me to have like be an assistant, or can I learn from your research? So if you send an email, yes, definitely. I mean, the professor, they always respond, right? So that's how you get the research opportunities. Summer programs in the area of interest. So there are like many programs kind of available. So language immersion program, summer college program. Now this is more like pre-college program. That is like you're taking classes at this college during the summertime. So check them out from each college. And the colleges at your local college, so you could go to DVC or Los Positas. Then you could take some, the college classes and online classes. So I was gonna say it later, but if your GPA is not so up by the end of your junior year, then definitely look for some AP classes that you can do from online school. So the popular ones like BYU Independent Study, or we have Elite Open School, which is very, very good. And so if you take the courses from us, then we do have very strong follow-up system. So we're not going to get you lazy, or we're not going to allow you to get like a B or a C in your no way. All right, so we do have very strong follow-up system. So if you're interested in our the online classes, then definitely you could contact us. And many parents are asking, are the classes from Elite Open School are acceptable from the college? Yes, because all the classes that we offer are all UC approved, meaning that if you take any classes from us, that is going to be either go to your transcript, high school transcript, or you could submit a separate transcript for the colleges that you apply for. Okay. All right, so the bottom line is that you're going to college to get an education, show that you love to learn, right? And the obvious thing is colleges like to see students get, I'm sorry, this is extracurricular activity. So academic side, yes, you're really gonna have to give your best shot, right? Now, extracurricular activities, the obvious thing is colleges like to see students get involved in extracurricular activities, but the not so obvious is what exactly are college admission officers looking for? That's important, right? So, it's not like, you do everything and you make tons of lists and you say, wow, I have a really good list. No, the system does not work that way. It really depends on what college admissions are looking for. So the college admission officer should ask the following questions. Has the time you spent on that activity been productive? So here, this question alone already speaks that if you're just a member of the club, unless that club is like really active, that's gonna be okay. But usually, how much did you get involved? What kind of things did you do, right? And what kind of leadership position you were in? So they're gonna be looking for that. What kind of leadership or initiative have you demonstrated? And have you received outside recognition for your work? Meaning that when you do this activity, did you get certificate? Did you get award? Or did people outside recognize you? All right, so that's very important. So thus, rather than looking for particular activities, colleges look for strong personal qualities. So it's like how you were involved, what you did, what you got out of that activity, what kind of influence that you put on the people that you are with or outside people. All right, so these are strong personal qualities. So competence, effectiveness, and curiosity, passion, focus, and leadership, high energy level, responsibility, maturity, character, cooperation, sustained commitment. So these are all important things, right? So they're not just looking through how many activities that you have. So UC is going to give you, UC applications are going to give you 20 activities for you to list. And if you just list them all, and those are just common activities that you did them all and you're just a member of it, you are making the application readers boring or bored. All right, so that's not the kind of application that you want to have. So this is very, very important. So the bottom line is, you can demonstrate positive qualities through pretty much any activity. Now find things you enjoy and do them well. And by spending time and putting forth a sustained effort in those activities, you will develop qualities and traits that college value, okay? All right. So don't ask what will help me or help you get into college. Instead, ask yourself the following question. What am I good at? All right. What do I enjoy? Is it like I enjoy playing game? Instead of playing games so much, why not develop a game, make a game, right? What do I want to learn? Ugh, that's a tough question. Well, I don't want to learn anything. That's going to be a big challenge, right? And what do I care about? How can I make a difference? Now, this question is like really important because almost like, I don't want to say every college, but many colleges, the supplemental essays, they're going to ask you, what would you think that you could contribute to our community? Huh? So that is very important. What do I care about and how can I make a difference through the activities that I am involved? That is important. All right. So test scores, I think I'm gonna just go briefly. SAT, ACT, AP, and SAT subject. So these are all important things. SAT subjects, so this is very, very important. Match to SAT subject. This is almost mandatory for the students for engineering, computer science, and pre-med, all right? So engineering and computer science, that is required. So if you're thinking any of those two majors, then yes, master definitely. Pre-med, go for it, all right? Because I would say about like 99% or 98% of the pre-med students gonna submit at the math to the test scores. And when you take AP Bio, AP Chem, or AP Physics, then you could do SAT subject, Bio, Chem, or Physics. Now the requirement is that you're gonna have to take AP Bio, AP Chem, or AP Physics. I mean, you could study on your own, but definitely, I mean, the cost is gonna be, you have to take those classes, right? So engineering, if you can submit, provide the SAT subject physics test, it's gonna be really good. But I see that many or some high schools here, they don't let you take AP Physics until the senior year. So that's gonna be like a down or disadvantage. But if that's the case, then manage to take AP Bio or AP Chem in your sophomore or junior year, right? And when you take AP World or AP US History, then you could do SAT Subject World or Subject US History test. And last or the least, the important, the test score is the foreign language. So if you do AP Spanish, AP French, then definitely you could do SAT Subject. So once again, the scores, engineering and computer science major, and also pre-med, math 2. And if you're looking at UCLA, UC Berkeley, definitely 750 and above. IB is almost perfect, right? And same thing with the other scores, but yes, I already spoke about the subject test scores. All right, so now the thing is, not just this branch, but throughout the all elite branches, now we have like a monthly like a director's meeting and directors and assistant directors meeting. And what we've heard so far from each branch is that a lot of students are having very difficult time by doing or taking the online classes. So this is the complaints in a way that we've heard from many, many students by doing online classes. The first thing is we're not learning enough. So the students already feel that they're not learning enough, right? And that's because teachers are not teaching. I hear that a lot. Teachers are not teaching. And the next thing is teachers are not prepared. And the next one is curriculum is not organized. And test questions out of lecture materials. I mean, that always happens, but I've heard like so many of that complaint. And some students said that online is not for me. So because of these things, that you're not getting really good grades in your AP classes, then you're really gonna have to consider doing something more for you to get better grades, right? And that is because colleges are considering AP classes very, very importantly these days. So for this year's admission, and because the COVID started last year and it was chaotic, right? Now the colleges came to know that a lot of teachers weren't really prepared for the online teaching. So the AP classes were easy to get A's. So what this year's admission happened, or what happened this year's admission is that the college admissions look for the AP test scores, strong AP test scores, because AP test scores, even though it was like a little bit modified, but still those tests were hard, right? So what we predict is that AP test scores in future, and that's because there's a trend that more and more colleges are gonna go either test optional or test blind. Now that doesn't mean that they're gonna go test blind or test optional for the APs. No, it's just the SAT or ACT. So if the colleges do that, then there's gonna have some way to evaluate your academic ability, right? So AP, that's gonna be one of the top choices that they're gonna have. So AP test scores are becoming much more important for college admissions these days, and colleges will focus on the AP test scores much more than before, ever before. So if you're a junior and sophomore this year, you're really gonna have to pay attention to this. So ask yourself, is the AP class you're taking, are you learning good enough, right? You're about to take the AP test in May, are you gonna be okay, right? Do you feel confident by like learning from your class? I mean, you're not gonna know until you see the test. So if you wanna try it, then you could purchase like Barron's or the Princeton Reviews, the AP test as the sample test, and then just give it a try and see if you can handle it. If it's way too much, then I really wanna recommend the side program that can help you. And we're gonna be offering AP test prep program. I'm starting in February, and I'm gonna show that later. So AP scores are just gonna be really important. Summer activities, wow, I would have been there, right? So summer activities. Now, the first thing that you should do is GPA boost up if your GPA is not strong. So as I said, don't even think about doing extracurricular activities if your GPA is not even at the borderline for the college that you want to apply for, right? So try to take like community college classes or the online classes. But as I said, if you want to do online classes, definitely AP classes. And in case if you have like D or F, you're gonna have to make up those classes. And I think some schools, D is a passing grade for your school, and that's for graduation, but D is not a passing grade for colleges. All right, so if you have any Ds, then definitely you're gonna have to repeat that class and replace that grades, okay? And the research program. So definitely look for research program from the college that you want to go to, right? And the internship, we talked about that. Same thing from the college that you are interested in, and you just look for the internship program, or you can actually Google it, right? So go to Google and type in internship program for high school students, and then it's going to give you some list. And pre-college program, one of the most popular the programs that most of the colleges going to have. So if you check out any college website, then you're going to see that. Now, for the extracurricular activity, now this is the part that I really want to talk about, but it's been already 1.5 hours. The elite, because we saw so many things happen, during the COVID time, and especially like a lot of students really couldn't do any activities. We came to like create very, how should I say this? Very good tasting extracurricular activities. So I'm going to introduce you to the name of these activities, but you could go and check out our corporate website for detailed information. So the first activity, and I'm going to just skip this, there is the art of photography, all right? So this is very challenging program for everybody. I mean, photography, I mean, I don't want to do that. That's for the film major. No, it is not, right? So any activities that I introduce you today, if you do any of these, it's gonna put a big plus on your application. All right, so there is the art of photography and data science and Python. So you wanna learn Python, you wanna know what data science is like in Python, check it out. We have very, very strong program, all right? So go to the website and you check out that program. Fundamentals of board game design. It's very interesting game. And I saw the game, it's very, very interesting. It's not like video games, but if you are good with the hands, you like making things, definitely check out this. Can this be like one of the extracurricular activities? Oh yes, definitely. The thing is, when you do something like this and you put it on like your YouTube, and if you have like 5,000 or 10,000 people following and viewing, that is very good. That's something that you could talk about on your college essay, and that's something strong activity that you could put on your college application for one of the strongest activities, right? So fundamentals of board game design. Next thing, the fundamentals of the investing, right? So are you thinking about like later after graduating from college, that you want to go into stock market or the Wall Street and you want to be that? Hey, it's right there. All right, so we're going to teach you the fundamentals of investing, or how you should invest, the world of investment in stock market. So this is like a really good program. And intellectual colloquium. So this is another one, debate speech that you're interested in. Check this program out. And math competition club is for the 6th through 8th grade. So if you have a younger brother or sister, definitely check it out. Very interesting. But competitions is starting from 6th grade. That's going to get you ready for the competitions in your high school years. And also, we have math competition club for the 9th through 12th grades, right? And once again, all the detailed information is going to be found in our website or the corporate website. Research proposal program. Now, this is very, very strong program. I strongly recommend this program for everybody, because when you participate at this research program from any college, you could actually publish your own journal, right? Or you could write a research paper. Now this is going to help you a lot. So this is not just for the college, like college essays, but it's going to help you to do the research work and write the research proposal when you're in college. So I strongly recommend this program. And screenwriting workshop. Are you interested in English? Are you going to do like a screenwriter? Hey, it's right here. So if you like writing, it's just the writing itself, right? Then definitely this is going to be very challenging program for you, the screenwriting workshop, okay? So this is the website. So for the programs, please go to eliteprep.com. And then you're going to see the extracurricular, the tab. And if you click that, then it's going to list all the activities that I just talked about. And it's going to give you the detailed info. Now, Elite Open School is, as I said, that's our online school. All right. And actually, you could graduate from the Elite Open School and you could still apply for the colleges, because it's a school. All right, so we have quite a good number of full-time students taking classes through the Elite Open School. But Elite Open School up to now is for more like repeating classes with the bad grades, or if you needed like extra classes to take, then many of the students from these areas, they are doing or taking classes from Elite Open School. But think about it, but Elite Open School has very special program coming up. And I'm gonna talk about that, and I'm gonna make a video clip on that. Is that the Elite Open School has a very special relationship with Minerva University. The Minerva University is one of the top universities in America, almost as good as Harvard. And we established very strong relationship. And starting from like a 9th grade, that you could enroll or be the Elite Open School student and enroll in that Minerva, the college program, then you'll have a very good chance to get in that college. And you're going to be starting as a sophomore in the Minerva. So definitely you could find more information about that from eliteopenschool.org. Okay. Now this is the spring program that we have. So definitely these are the AP test programs that we have. So we are offering AP Bio, US History, Chemistry, European History, AP Lang, and Comp Sci, and the World History and Calc. Physics, now if you want to do physics, let me know, right? So because physics is not always popular, we're gonna have to have like 6 students minimum to open the class. So if you don't have 6, then definitely we can connect you with other branch which offers the AP Physics test prep. So, okay, so let me know. And these are the schedule there. So we're gonna be starting from February 26th. All right, so it goes all the way to the first week of the May. And these are the SAT subject test prep that we have. So definitely we're offering math level 2. That's the most popular, but at the same time, one of the strongest program that we have. So if you want to do math 2, please call the front desk and try our diagnostic test, all right? And a lot of cases, 98% of the students, they do go through the program. Yes, they get like pretty high, the math 2, the test scores. And also the bio and US history and chemistry we're going to be offering. And also if you're interested in the subject physics, all right, then let me know, all right? It's not that popular among or in these areas. So if you want to do physics test, then yes, we can connect you with the other branch, okay? All right. Now also, we're going to be starting the college application service program. So if you're junior, not sophomore, junior, please check this thing out. So we are starting the program in April, but we're taking the enrollment now, all right? So these are the things that we do. College list with a major choice. So we collect your information, your academic info and your extracurricular info, and then we make a list of colleges that you should or you could apply for, all right? And we're gonna have a different major choice for each college, depending on your profile. So the college list, now that's one of the most important things about the college application. You're gonna have to choose the right colleges for you. Not the name brand college is gonna be the best college for you to go to. So the college application service program that we have, we try to find not just the best, but the most fit colleges for you to go, right? So college list with a major, that's one of the first things that we do. Essay prompt choice. All right, so as I said, essays, important. So you're gonna have your own personal essay coach, but before you get connected with your essay personal coach, you and I will sit down together and we're gonna go through the essay prompt requirements from each college, and then we're gonna try to decide which one that you should do. And I usually, if you enroll early and I meet you early, then I ask you to write rough draft for each essay prompt. And then sometime in July, now you're gonna be connected to your personal essay coach, all right? And then the personal essay coach and you will work out all the essay requirements, and then until the completing or the completion of all your essays, that personal coach is gonna help you to write all the essays. Now, we have 2 different programs. One program package, it covers up to 5 college applications, and the other program or package, it covers up to 10 college applications. And the one with a 5 college application, you will have 12 personal essay coaching time. And with the 10 college application, you're gonna have 20 hours of essay coaching time. And activity list, you know what? this is very, very important. A lot of students pay really less attention on this, but activity list is very, very important, especially when you work on the common application, which is for the most of the private colleges. You have very good activities, but you only have 150 characters for you to describe what you did. So when the first time when the students work on their activities, oh man, you don't want to write those, right? So you really need professional help on that. So I do help the students with the activity list and application fill out, meaning that we physically work on the applications together, right? So that's another very important part of the applications and overall review. So before you submit your application, either myself or my assistant director, Mr. Chan, now we're gonna review your applications and give you a sign, okay, everything looks good, let's submit it. So it's a complete coverage for your college applications. And so that's starting in April, but we're taking enrollment right now, okay? All right, so this is all I have for today. Now, it's a question time. Does anybody have any questions? Is everybody good? So that means I could let you go then? All right, so if you want to find out more of any of these things that you heard, and so you could just call the front desk and then make an appointment. So either me or Mr. Chan, we're gonna have a meeting and then talk a lot more in details, okay? All right, so since there's no question, I want to thank you so much for attending this seminar. Hopefully this seminar was very informative to you about your college admissions. And now you should have some idea of like what you should do for the next 2 years or next 1.5 years. Okay, so everybody stay safe and stay healthy. And then I'll see you next time then.